fucking crying.
Monkey D. Goofy. D. Goofy. Oh, you're slobbering this bad guy.
Why would they do that, bro?
Bro, because it's getting you ready, don't Yeah, no! Yo, what is good, people? It's your boy T-Rav. I'm here with another video right now. I have the Wheel of Time episode 1 review. But before I get into it, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And now let's hop in. Dog, I knew that when Amazon Prime took a hold of this, they were going to do some type of justice. All right, some type of justice. I have not read the book, but I do know that this is a book series or whatnot, right? But it has been widely acclaimed as one of the better books and book series of all time. Now, obviously, that's subjective and all that. And when it comes to adaptations, it's difficult to know what's going to stick and what's going to hit and what's not. But one thing I will say is that Prime can do well with adaptations if they want to. If they want to, that's what I'll say. Because some shows they choose to go all in on. Some they do not. I think for this one and for some of the shows to come, they have chosen to go all in on this fantasy type of shows and just projects to come like that. Obviously, Rings of Power is going to be a lot of different CGIs in a similar fashion when you're getting mythical beasts and fantastical worlds and all types of crazy stuff that you can do, because these are humongous stories where the whole universe is already fleshed out, the material's already there, you just gotta adapt it. And honestly, it's been waiting for someone to put it into television show form, because doing movies for some of these things, it just cannot work. You have to go all in and go for a TV show style, because nowadays you could put a big budget on a TV show. Back in the day, you couldn't do that. So in terms of the episode, took me a minute to get into it, right? Because we're just dropped in. We're not explained anything, and I kind of like that because they hop in and they give a whole info dump at the very beginning, and it's pretty hard to just keep track of all of the different factions and things that they're talking about, because they're talking about the Dark One who is gonna come back in a certain amount of time, but there was this warrior, then the people called him Dragon, and he's actually supposed to return, but they're not sure who he's gonna return as because he died, but he's gonna be reincarnated in some boy or girl. They just don't know who yet, and they're gonna need him in order to take down the Dark One whenever he comes back. And now the people trying to track him down for good, from what we know so far, is the Aes Sedai, which is apparently a group of magical females that just got Ronins at their side, and they go ham and go hard, because it's pretty wild. Because we meet this character named Moraine Sadi, and my goodness, she is overpowered. Now I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to all that, right? But we go to this little village, and this female named Egwene, I think is her name, she's going through this little rite of passage in her clan or whatever, in this little small village, where she is basically tossed off this cliff and has to kind of go with the river. She fights against it for a while, but then she kind of submits to it, and then she actually makes it down these crazy rapids perfectly fine. I'm sure you couldn't do that if you was fighting against the river and things like that. And so she has a whole little party. The whole little village is celebrating. It seems definitely like a small town. Everyone knows each other. And we meet this kid named Rand. And, you know, he's been working with his father, taking care of his father. They seem like blue-collar people. That seems to be like everybody in this village is blue-collar people who, you know, they're not the most well-off. Obviously not. Closer to the poverty side more than anything. But, you know, they kind of have each other. And obviously in a small town when there's not a whole lot of piggins, you know what we got to do. So we come to find out that Egwene fancies Rand, and then he's got two homies, right? One of them's named Matt, who is this ladies' man, and he's a gambler and all this, and he's out here betting all this money and all everything, right? but he doesn't exactly have anyone, so to speak, of. But his story is actually kind of wild because, you know, he's kind of taking care of his two little sisters because his mom, she just seems like a drunk or she's been hitting that stuff. And then his father just seems like a deadbeat who's just, you know, not taking care of anybody. Clearly not taking care of his wife. Doesn't seem to give a fuck about her anymore. He was literally in the middle of the town square as his son came to get, you know, his mother. He was right over there talking to some young girl, and he's like mid-40s, 50s, looking sleazy as fuck, dog. So clearly his parents are absolute waste, but he's looking after his little sisters, you know what I'm saying? And he's doing his best to feed them, and that's why he gambles and things like that in order to make money for them. But obviously, you know, he's got a real carefree attitude, and I like the fact that he's so upbeat and so happy and nonchalant about everything to a degree, right? So that's gonna come into play later on. Now, his other friend, Perrin, is actually, I think he's like a blacksmith or something like that, or at least he works a forge with his wife, right? And they seem to have a really good relationship or whatever. All is well on that front. Now, Egwene and Rand obviously are madly in love with each other and all that, but a dilemma comes up because on this day, also of her ceremony or whatever, right? She was offered a job by the Wisdom, which is the lady that swore her in, and I guess is the lead chieftain lady who obviously has some type of abilities, obviously not to the degree of Moraine Sadi or the Aes Sedai or the Islets for that matter, and I'll get into them soon. But she doesn't have that level of power, but she is described as someone who can listen to the wind, whatever else that entails, I'm not really sure. And she was putting in work in a scene later on, right? But so she was offered a job to work as and become a Wisdom someday. But you learn that the drawback to that is that you can't have a normal life, you can't have a family, you can't have a husband or anything like that. She comes and finds Rand up on the mountaintop to talk to him about it, and he kind of cuts her off beforehand. He's like, because he tells her this big old long thing, you know, I look at my life here in the river between the two valleys, and I just kind of wonder, you know, who's the lady I'm gonna share that time with? When my kids, are they gonna get to run through the forest like I was able to? Like, that's the life I would like to have one day. And obviously, you kind of see in her face, she's sad, obviously, because she does love him. She really does. But she knows in her heart what she's going to choose. And he cuts her off beforehand because he knows what she really wants to do. He says, I know what you're going to do. You go ahead and go choose what you need. And it's really cool because they get into a whole, they kind of break down the philosophy of how at least their tribe seems to run by, at least in the whole grand sense of things, right? And it kind of seems to be the way this world is run, right? They all refer to it as like, you know, things come, things go, but in the end, time marches on. It's the wheel of time. It keeps on turning. It doesn't stop for anybody, all right? So it's really cool how the wheel of time is so prevalent in terms of the actual philosophy that the people have in this world. But we also come to find out later on from Moraine Sadi that it's actually possibly a real wheel that's controlling the flow of events and how everything's moving in the course of things right now. It may have something to do with the whole reincarnation thing going on and how the magical properties are actually operating in this world and the balance of things between the good and the evil. So it's a whole lot of stuff going on. And then it's after all that's happening and the celebration's still going on that Moraine Sadi pulls up in the town and people are shook because, you know, they don't really want no smoke and they've only kind of heard rumors and legends about her. And they say like there's like wars approaching or whatever, obviously, because like rumors of the Dark One is spreading, that he's coming back, his armies are moving, things are happening, you know what I'm saying? So she pulls up in town, people is shook. But she's looking for the one, obviously. She's the one person that's her main quest, just to find the next reincarnation of this dude named Dragon, whether he be a male or female in this new life of his. But from what we've been implied so far, it seems like it's going to be red. But, you know, that may not be the case. That may not be the case. But when they are in town in the dead of night, obviously, well, you know, they're still partying and celebrating. They out dancing, having a good old time. Everything's all peachy keen and stuff. And then these goddamn lichen orcs, and it's really wild because they're like these mythical beasts, but they look like, there was some that was like minotaurs, there was some that had like the face of a pig, some that had the face of a wolf kind of, but they were all different animals, but they had a demonic kind of feel about them, and they were big, like they were lichens, dog. So they was hitting hard as fuck. They had speed, you know, they was a motherfucking problem, and they're decimating the villagers, and it's all out chaos and everything, and it's wild because the director starts going crazy in this scene, dog, because they really wanted to give you a whole feel the whole episode like it was all gonna be good. Little did you know, when shit started to hit the fan, it was gonna go all the shit, dog. It was not stopping because, you know, Matt's gotta go and try and find his sisters and stuff like that. He goes to his house or whatever, and his parents are there, and obviously he's like, "Where are my sisters?" And they were like, "Oh no, they was right there." And he's like, "It's like, you motherfuckers, dog. Like, what are y'all good for? What are y'all good for? Y'all's a waste of space. Y'all over here, you have your safety assured, and those little girls is out there by themselves while these monsters is running through my village? Are you kidding me? People is getting..." Oh, don't get me started on those parents, though. That's why I feel for Matt. I feel for him. And that's why I'm liking this show a lot, as you can tell. Clearly, right now, it's getting me emotional, okay? I got very, very attached to some of these characters pretty quickly. I don't really care much about Egwene, okay? She already broke my boy's heart. I don't really care about it, right? But obviously, madness is still going on there. They attack Perrin's house, and him and his wife are fighting off the beasts and things like that. Rand's fighting him off at his house, and his dad pulls out a sword that's got the crest of the crane on it and things like that. And then he starts putting in work after he was getting the business handed to him a little bit. And he starts taking out these animals and these beasts and things like that, but they kind of get the jump on him, obviously, because he's older, and he gets severely wounded, but Rand's able to take out the last one, you know, saving his father and things like that. Perrin's in a knockdown, drag out fight against one of the tougher beasts I think we've seen. It was like one that was like a wolf, I think. And dog, it was crazy because I'm not gonna lie, the directing kind of went wild right there. I'm glad they was really making it feel like a hardcore fight, because like they weren't like making them super slow. No, they was like hitting real fast. You know what I'm saying? These is a big, strong, mythical beast. And these are really regular civilians for the most part. They don't really have any training or things like that. So they're just fighting for their life. And they're in this big knockdown, drag out fight. Perrin's swinging. He's getting this nigga. He finally got him. He got him pinned down. And all of a sudden, someone's coming behind him. He swings back. And he hits his wife, dog. Oh, bro. I'm not going to lie to you, fam. Oh, that shit hurt, son. That shit hurt, dog. And fam, his wife literally dies in his hands, and she just looks at him, and she's like, she don't say anything, but you can see the look at her face. It's like she's just confused, and she doesn't know what's happening, and she dies. And oh my God, man, it's so crazy, dog. And you know, they're able to drive him out, and kill the ones that at least showed up at that moment, because Moraine Sadi starts elemental firebending. She starts pulling out light balls and starts ripping people apart with air and wind, and she can rip out rocks, and she's literally like the Avatar, dog. So it's really wild how hard she started going. And her right hand man, I mean, my goodness, he don't need the elements at all. All he needs is his blade. This dude was going crazy. He was cutting through like butter biscuits, you know. No gravy, just butter. All right, so they was putting in work, and Moraine Sadi is just, she seems over fucking powered, dog. And they were getting driven back by them. And then the leader of the little general of this little dark army segment, he throws a fucking big ass knife, smacks this bitch square in the chest, And I'm like, oh, fuck. There's no way. How is this a woman this powerful get taken out so quick? Her right-hand man comes up, pulls that shit right out of her fucking chest, and she's like, she good. She just had to, you know, get held up for a second. Then she like, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So, I'm not gonna lie. Marisa D has my motherfucking attention. And if Mr. Dragon, Rand, that's because I honestly think it's gonna be Rand who's gonna be the one of legend and of prophecy, and who knows if he's gonna be a good guy or a bad guy, because I guarantee you that the Dark One's gonna try and recruit him as well. That's the only person that could really stand in his way in the grand scheme. It would make the most sense. And obviously, with the brutality that he's experienced and the incoming tragedies that are most likely going to be ahead, who knows where these characters' heads are going to be at by the end of the story, because you know Matt's going to do whatever he's got to do to save his family. And Gwen's already lost people in this whole incident. I don't even started on Perrin where his head's at. Like, I don't know what he's going to be capable of now. And then Rand, like, he really had to save his daddy and stuff like that. And then, you know, Moraine Sadi was able to heal his father afterward because he was actually poisoned when he got severely wounded. And she kind of just made it disappear, but it looked like it severely weakened her. Did she take that upon herself? I don't know. So there's a whole lot of questions going on in the Wheel of Time right now. They got to head to the White Tower. And it's just so much mythology, because she was talking about the chick before who came to them with eyes wider than any who could see, but somehow she had seen glimpses of the wheel. So the Wheel of Time is not only a philosophical thing, it's like actually something that is governing this universe, and there are very large forces at play that are making stuff shake at this point in time. And she's talking about, this is the third age, and this is the beginning, or at least a beginning. Like, how many times has something like this happened? See, so it's like, I don't know where we're gonna get to. But I'm definitely liking the fantasy element, loving the side characters as of right now. I was a little questionable how hard we was gonna go at first until that whole scene started taking place, and then I'm like, okay, all right, we got some brutality. You know, it's not all hunky-dory around here. I'm on that wagon, baby. So that is the episode 1 review of The Wheel of Time. But let me know what you thought about the episode, and I'm gonna go ahead and hop into the next one because I can't wait. It's a little too hype for me. Let's go, man. I'm rooting for you, Perrin. And you too, Matt. You too. Egwene, no one cares about you. All right? But I'm looking forward to all the mythology coming in the future. I will catch you guys on the next one. Like, comment, subscribe. It's been your boy T-Rav, and I'm out.